Have you ever been driven crazy by the fact that one guy can say something to a girl and she instantly laughs, she's putting her hand on his arm, and you can just tell the sexual tension, the interest, the sparks, they're flying. And then you can go and say the exact same thing to another girl and it just falls completely flat. She's disinterested, or even worse, it like backfires. Well, in one of the most horrifying examples of this, I can remember from when I was younger, I was walking with a group of sort of guys and girls, and I watched another guy, and he was like jokingly saying the lyrics to some like weird 90s song, which this is gonna make me sound weird, but it's like, I wanna lick you up and down till you say stop. And I saw them and I was like, they reacted so well, they found it funny, they were being playful. And I was like, oh wow, seemingly you just need to say this to a girl and winner, they just seem to love you. So we get about 100 meters further down the road and I'm like gearing myself up for it. And I say, this is horrifying. The fact I still remember this now is how bad of a moment it was. I say it to the girl next to me and she just recoils and it's just like, what? It is a horrifying moment, okay? And not one that I'm exactly proud of, but it did teach me a valuable lesson. And that's that two guys can say the exact same thing and get wildly different results. And before all of the looks maxes out there bring up the point of like, well, maybe it's because he was way more attractive, all these things. And to be fair, he probably was better looking. But think in your own life, there's plenty of times where I've said the same thing at two different points to girls and gotten wildly different results there as well. So it clearly can't be just down to the person. There has to be something else at play. And I've managed to spend nearly a decade figuring this out and really uncovering what is going on there. Hey there. We've now got a new friend. Okay, minor crisis avoided. So in this video, I'm gonna dive into what exactly it is that causes this difference between two different times that you say something, because women truly do fall in love with the words you say, but it just isn't the words that you'd expect. So we're going to kick off with that, then I'm going to tell you why understanding this will transform your entire dating life and what you can do about it and how you can make that kind of change. So women fall in love with your words, but not the ones you're thinking. This because maybe you've heard this common phrase. You've heard the fact that men fall in love with what they see and women fall in love with what they hear. And whilst I think that's true, I think it needs adjusting. I think it needs a slight tweak. Men fall in love with what they see, women fall in love with what men communicate. And what we know about communication is that the words themselves are only about 7% of what gets communicated. And because of that, the other 93%, they're the real words that women fall in love with. And they're the words that we need to get better at communicating. Because for women, it was super important for them to understand what a man truly means, because there's quite a lot of large incentives for a man to lie about who he is, especially for that short-term gratification. If a guy could simply just be like, yeah, bro, I'm a millionaire, and then suddenly 16 girls wants to go home with him, like, it doesn't take a lot for the male brain to think that that's probably a worthy kind of lie and mistruth to say. So it's been this kind of arms race through the fucking millennia between men and women for men to be able to almost lie and women to be able to detect that. So they've built the most sophisticated system for not listening to the words that you say, but the meaning behind it, the words that are coming behind it of who you really are and what you really mean. And the reason why this will completely transform your dating life is because when women find men who have true alignment between what they say and what they mean, they find it so attractive because it means that they kind of start to trust him. They start to see this person as someone that they can open up to. Because if they think a guy is just lying and misleading about who he is and what he says, They don't open up emotionally, so you can't speak to them on an emotional level, so they can't have any attraction to you. There's just like a firm wall of like, I don't know what this guy wants, he seems weird, he seems needy. Like, take the example from the beginning where I decided to say a weird, cringy line. It worked for the other guy because he was literally being just a fun, playful and expressive. And he said something that was fun, playful and expressive. His intentions and what he said was in alignment. Me, I was there looking for some kind of like needy validation from them whilst trying to say something fun and expressive. What I call this is like the gap of disgust. And in any scenario where your intentions and your words misalign, you create a gap of disgust for a girl and she can sense it. It's every time a guy with a nice car starts trying to impress her by talking up about how good his car is and how much it costs. The reason is, he's not saying that because he's just like really into his car and he wants to kind of share that with her. He's doing it with a different intention. His intention is to win her validation, to get her interested in him. And that just completely backfires and falls flat. So anytime you'll feel this in your own day-to-day life, there'll be times in the world where you've kind of said something you didn't mean, whether it's like you admitted to liking a song that you weren't really that interested in, just because you wanted to fit in with the group. That, you know, can get you some of the way with guys, but with women it fucking falls apart. I wouldn't recommend it with guys, but with women, they can tell. They have got a sixth sense for this and they will see right through you. And this is where so many men fall down and they crumble. I even have a great example of this from someone who got in touch with me. He was speaking to the difficulty he was having after going out on a date with a girl that he'd met her on a dating app. He was super excited. He'd met her and they'd texted so much. They'd done the whole up till 2 a.m, texting loads, exchanging all their personal stories. And when they met, he was similarly kind of needy and just love bombing in her own words. So what she did after the date, she didn't end things, but she just said she needed some space. She was going away for 2 weeks and she just needed a bit of time to herself. And to just like, oh, we'll deal with this, we'll get in touch when I get back, but I'm going to be really busy, I'm spending time with family, I'm doing a work thing, so I just need a bit of time, but I'll be a bit overloaded, we'll get to this when I get back. He got in touch with me after she'd been gone for 4 days and asked me if he should send a text saying, good luck on your work games competitive event. How is it going? And the thing is, he saw that as quite a polite text, you know, he's checking in, seeing how her work's going, seeing if she's doing well, and they were his words. But that's the issue. What were his intentions there? Because I made it quite clear to him that his intentions actually differed significantly from his words, and this is often the nice guy problem. He was setting with the words that, hey, I'm checking in with you, isn't that nice, isn't that kind, isn't that generous? But what were his intentions? His intentions was a desire to reconnect with her, a desire to get that closeness they once had, because he was missing the fix he could get from being able to speak to her. And this is proving challenging for nice guys to realise that difference between an intention and his actual words, and it creates that gap of disgust that will always be there. And that is why it's so dangerous for men, and it will transform your relationships once you can understand this principle. Women connect to you so much stronger, they trust you, they fall in love with you when they feel like your intentions and your words actually align. So let's quickly cover how can you do that? What are the steps to do it? First, it begins with watching your words like a hawk. I hear this line from Jordan Peterson where he felt like this in his early 20s. He started to have this split where there was the guy that was talking and the guy that was watching what he was saying. And I think we've all felt this. We've got kind of like multiple parts to our psyche. We have the person watching what we're saying and the person that's actually talking. And what he realized was most of what he was saying wasn't true. They were lies, he was telling them to impress people, he just wanted to win the argument. And he realized every single time he said stuff like this, it made him feel weak. Somewhere like in your gut, it's like a visceral sensation. And each one of us experience this. We know somewhere in our heart of hearts what we're actually trying to do, what we're actually trying to say. And every time we divert from that, we feel that ickiness because we know we're betraying what we really mean. We know we're not being honest. We know we're not being true. So the first step is just creating that awareness around the things that you say, around the things that you are doing, and starting to try and eat away at some of those sort of differences between the two. That was certainly what I was doing. I was realizing when I was younger, I just said everything to try and get validation. I was a lonely, bullied kid, so I just really wanted to have that experience from people of feeling connected. So starting to have that awareness over your words, it's a massive step. Being able to adopt the habit of meditation, super helpful as well. And I know this might sound different. This isn't your standard dating advice, but this is the stuff that actually works. This is incredible. This is what allows you to make connections with a girl on the street who then shows up for the date. I get so many questions from guys who actually get numbers, but then the girl never shows up. I have almost like a freaking 80% success rate here. If I go and meet a girl, we will make a connection and she feels it. She feels like it's real. So she always shows up. Like if I make that connection with her, she doesn't feel like she's being defrauded by some loser that is putting on a show to try and get her validation. She sees the real me because the words that are coming out of my mouth, the way that I'm communicating to her, it just feels honest. She's not having to like, oh, is he trying to deceive me? Is he trying to do this? She's just allowing herself to open up and truly enjoy the emotional experience of getting to know each other. So if this is you, and I guarantee like this is gonna sound tough, if you're quite an agreeable, nice guy, you're gonna be the worst culprit for this because you'll have had that desire for a lot of your life to make other people feel better and often compromised what is true for you to make them feel better. So you really need to watch out on your ability to be able to tell the truth and connect authentically. And if you find this is the big challenge for you, I can say it's likely rooted in one dangerous toxic emotion for men. And this is one of my proudest videos I have on the channel, is where I dissect why there is one emotion above all else that damages men, that destroys their chances in dating, of being able to connect in an authentic way and leaves them single and alone. So if you want to be a guy that can truly have women fall in love with him for who he is, then I recommend you check out this video here where I break down what has to be the most toxic emotion for men.